the bulletin with the top breaking updates. We are coming in from the G7. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the War Memorial in Hiroshima, and after visiting, he has tweeted out saying that he went to the Peace Memorial Museum in Hiroshima and the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park this morning. Remember, Prime Minister Narendra Modi with other leaders of the Group 7 went to the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park and paid floral tribute to the victims that were killed in the atomic bombing. Remember, this was the incident that took place in 1945, wherein at least 14,000 people were killed in atomic bombings in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and this was at the time when there was an end of World War II. Now, these are the visuals. This is Prime Minister Narendra Modi visiting the War Memorial, paying his tribute and remembering the victims who lost their lives in the unfortunate bombings that took place in the year of 1945. Now, other than this, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also held several key bilaterals during his visit to the Japan, and not just with the UK, but even Ukraine was a big highlight of the event, wherein India showed its diplomacy stand over the ongoing Russia and Ukraine war. These are the latest visuals. You can see Prime Minister Narendra Modi walking alongside the Group 7 leaders and paying a floral tribute to the victims of the Hiroshima bombings. Not just this, but Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We have Srinjoy live with us. Srinjoy, what does this picture hold significance?
See, the important thing that has to be remembered as far as Hiroshima is concerned is what happened all those years ago in 1945, and not just Hiroshima but also Nagasaki. Let's not forget that over 1 lakh people died in these two atomic blasts. The first thing that all these G7 leaders should remember once they see Hiroshima are these two words: never again. There should never be a Hiroshima, there should never be a Nagasaki. And let's not forget that many of these countries here in Hiroshima are also nuclear powers. France is, Britain is, America is, India is. So it's absolutely important to ensure that Hiroshima never ever happens again.
Right, Srinjoy, stay with us. We have more latest inputs coming in. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds bilateral with Brazil President Lula da Silva in Hiroshima. Now, these are the latest visuals on your screen, viewers. You can see Prime Minister Narendra Modi shaking hands with his Brazilian counterpart. And this is the bonhomie that Prime Minister shares with each and every Prime Minister that has been there in the Group 7 leaders. Remember, this is not the first time, but even Prime Minister shared such bonhomie with Rishi Sunak, Ukrainian President, and Biden, of course. Now, these are the latest visuals. India has held a Brazilian counterpart. And Srinjoy, if you can tell, what key initiatives have been taken by India?
Let's not forget that India and Brazil are both part of BRICS. And that's particularly important because it's a grouping which will help enormously. In fact, not that long ago, the foreign minister of Brazil actually mentioned that as a BRICS country, India has special powers. And being a BRICS country, along with Russia, it can actually tell Russia that, look, the war has to end. That's one. Secondly, Brazil and India are two of the largest countries in the world. And there they can work together very closely as far as climate change is concerned. Much of the Amazon, which is the world's largest carbon sink, one of the largest, is in Brazil. India also has this problem of carbon emissions. This is something both countries can work together with. The third thing is that economic issues have to be sorted out. And as far as the world is concerned, because of the war, because of the rise in fuel prices, the rise in food prices, the rise in fertilizer prices, all third world countries are affected. And again, this is where Brazil and India can work together. So apart from economic issues, whether it's food, fuel, and other things, there is also the issue of carbon fixing. There is also the issue of working together as a big country in BRICS.
Right, Srinjoy, this is an important highlight. During the event of G7, India has been a key partner ever since as a guest panel. These bilaterals, what does they reflect on the Indian position?
Well, India's made its position very clear. The G7 is really 7 of the world's richest countries. India, at least per capita, is nowhere near it. But India is a growing power. India is a growing military power. It's a growing economic power. It is the world's most populous country. So the voice of India has to be heard in the G7 meeting, which is why India was invited as a guest. And again, it has to be said that India is also the voice of the South. Okay, America, Britain, France, Germany, Canada, all of these countries are part of the G7. But what about the global South? The global South has been very badly affected over these last 2 years. First by COVID, and then by this war in the Ukraine. And as a result, all these countries face serious economic problems. That has to be sorted out. And it is incumbent on the G7 to actually do both. Number one, the global warming, if you look at it, the countries most responsible for it are countries like America, countries like Britain and France, because carbon emissions began after the Industrial Revolution. And the 4 countries that were leaders as far as the Industrial Revolution were concerned were Britain, France, Germany, and America. Now, you created this problem of global warming with China later. You have to solve it. And the people who are most affected by it are the people of the South. So this is something India has spoken about and India will speak about. That, of course, is leadership of the South. Then there is this business of the rise of China. It has to be said that the fact that it's being held in Japan is particularly important because Japan, South Korea, India, the Philippines, some other countries in Southeast Asia are affected by China's aggression, China's rise, which is why this meeting that was held in Hiroshima on the sidelines of the G7, the Quad meeting last night, was particularly important. Again, China will rise and say that this is a Asian NATO, which it isn't. But the point is, the 4 countries, when they get together, actually get under China's skin. So this is a way of telling China that, look here, you may be a big power, but don't misuse your big power, particularly against our friends in East and Southeast Asia. So that's really the second thing.
Right.
Thirdly, the fact that this war is going on in the Ukraine, this has to end. Again, India can play a constructive role. And this is another way of telling the world that, look, India is there. And if you ever need India, India will try and help and ensure that this war ends. And India will play a role in disarmament, particularly nuclear disarmament.